Welcome to another edition of Journey of Hope. Loma University Medical Center is one of 125 teaching hospitals in the country. We have people from all around the world coming here to be treated. Journey of Hope is a story about some of these patients and the impact that the healing ministry has had upon them, and how some of these patients have gone on not only to be survivors, but thrivers. Our special guest today is Al Hummel from the San Diego area. He's got quite a story and quite a very interesting background that I think that you'll find to be exciting as you hear his journey. Al, it's good to have you here.
It's very good to be here, Lynn. Thank you.
We have people from around the world that are watching this program, and you're one of many, many patients that we interview. I want to have you share with the audience here a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how you got started in from your schooling and into business, and then how you made a transition out here. So tell us where you're from.
Originally, I was born on the East Coast near Philadelphia, and was raised a middle-class kid. Good values, good parents, do the right thing, your word's your bond.
You have a religious background?
I had a religious background. I was raised a Roman Catholic.
Okay.
And went to church regularly, and I think that that did have a big impact on me. I went to Jesuit schools, actually, and
Back in
high school and college.
And college, okay.
Now
you weren't studying to be a priest.
I wasn't studying to be a priest. A lot of philosophy courses, a lot of ethics courses. A very liberal background, liberal arts background, and actually I wanted to be a professional basketball player.
Oh, did you?
And my knees wouldn't cooperate, so when I was a senior in college, I didn't know precisely what I wanted to do, and I looked around, and there was professions: law, business, medicine.
And this was your senior year when you're looking around?
This is my senior year when I'm looking around. And I looked out and I said, well, business, they have marketing, they have finance, they have general business, they have manufacturing. So they have quite a few things to do. And so with quite a few things to do, I'll probably be able to find something that I could be interested in. And I applied to graduate school, and I was accepted at Indiana University and received my MBA. And when I was there, it was kind of a unique situation in the sense that I had no business courses, no economic background, no anything. And I remember sitting in class, the first economics class, and this guy, Bob Turner, a professor, doctor, and he was on the Council of Economic Advisors, and he comes into the room, and we're sitting in one of those amphitheaters, and there's about 150 students there. And he says, by the time you're done with this course, you're going to be an expert in national income accounting. And I went, national income accounting? I haven't even taken an accounting course. You know, how am I going to do this?
You're going to be an expert.
And I turned to the guy on my right, and I said, that's unbelievable. What's this guy think? And he says, I have my master's in economics, so it's not going to be that hard. So that was quite a shock. My first semester, it was nose down and tail up in those books, you know, taking fundamental courses. And through that, those introductory courses, and then getting involved in finance, when I graduated from school, I went to work for Merrill Lynch, and I worked in investment banking. Yeah. And when I joined Merrill Lynch in 1970 in investment banking, there were probably 40 investment bankers.
And that was it?
And that was it. And before the big crash that we've had, they probably had 5,000.
So you were in on the ground floor?
I was literally in on the ground floor, and it was a heck of a lot of fun. You know, as the business became more technical and there were gears towards specific industries, I had the whole world to work with, any industry I wanted to work with. And I had done a thesis in school on two things because I actually, between my first and second year in graduate school, I was able to get an internship program with what used to be called the Irvine Trust Company. That was taken over by Chase, which was taken over by J.P. Morgan, which is, taken over. They still
Things
exist.
are still being taken over.
Yeah, still being taken over. But I had the opportunity to work in the summertime and discovered investment banking and had the opportunity to do various interviews and thinking about industries that used money. And I looked at industries that hadn't financed in the past, hadn't done too much, or were consumers of lots of capital. And I did 2 projects, one banks, and up until that time they'd been pretty stodgy, but their banking deposits had been going up, their loans had been going up, and so when you looked at their potential need for capital, it was increasing. As we can see, they didn't do a very good job from 1970 to 2000, but they had a tremendous need for capital, and then also oil and gas exploration.
So how long were you in this business?
I was worked for Merrill Lynch for about 15 years and had the opportunity to travel throughout the world.
But you made a transition and got into another area.
I made a transition. I opened up my own firm when I left Merrill Lynch and became a member of the New York Stock Exchange, and the firm was called Bradley Hummel. And we concentrated a great deal on pharmaceutical companies. Smaller, mid-sized pharmaceutical companies, and there again, there was a need for capital, a need to invest in product, a need to create product opportunities. And I had the opportunity to raise money for 2 companies. Well, there were a number of companies, but 2 in particular. And these 2 gentlemen were entrepreneurs, and I said, you guys ought to get together because 1 and 1 is going to make more than 2. And as entrepreneurs are, I'm worth X,
right.
You're worth Y, and we had a discussion for about a period of 2 years. And I said, this is really ridiculous because if you 2 guys come together, I think this could really be a successful company. And they said to me, well, if you think it's going to be so successful, then why don't you join us? And I thought long and hard about it. They were small companies, and I did merge them, and they went public, and it's Watson Pharmaceuticals, which is today listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and it has sales of about a couple $2 billion now. So,
but then you went a step further eventually and developed your own company.
That's
which
correct.
Is called what?
Kobrek Pharmaceuticals.
And Kobrek Pharmaceuticals. Kobrek. There's an understanding behind that name.
There's a family, deep family meaning there. My lovely wife, Coca, and my 2 sons, Brett and Eric. And so what I did is I broke pieces from each, CO from Coca, BR from Brett, and EK from Eric.
All right. We're going to look at a couple of pictures and you can talk to them. There's the name of your company.
That's
correct.
correct.
A pharmaceutical company.
That's correct. And we focus mostly on CNS, central nervous system, disease. What we do is just develop products, and then we will license them out to major pharmaceutical companies, and they will carry the development further and also market the product.
Okay. And then we've got, tell me what we have here.
We have my lovely wife, Coca, sitting down, and my 2 sons, Brett is on the left and Eric is on the right. And proud dad is the top of the diamond there. And this was a picture taken of my 25th wedding anniversary. Again, my lovely wife jumping on my back.
Right.
Still an old guy, but I can still carry it.
And we have here?
We have a group of family. Coca has a very interesting background. There are 3 sisters there, and her mom and the 3 sisters, actually there were 4 sisters that escaped from Cuba. And the lady on the left, Aunt Hilda, she was married to the former president of Cuba,
Oh, my.
Carlos Pria.
I knew that you had a very interesting background.
And he was for the people, and was actually nearly killed and run out of the country by Batista, and who subsequently was run out of the country by Fidel Castro.
And who do we have here?
My son Eric, who is a professional soccer player.
And he is where? He's located over in...
He's over in England now, but this is a picture that was just taken recently. He had an injury and he came back, and he's Chivas USA, which is the MLS club in the United States, has always liked Eric, and they invite him back anytime to work out with them. So he was able to work out with them. This is after a preseason game where he's signing autographs. And this is kind of interesting. Chivas in Guadalajara, they only allow Mexican nationals to play for that team. This is the U.S. side, and when he was 18, had the opportunity to play with Chivas Guadalajara, actually in the United States.
All right. And very quickly here, we've got a kind of a, looks like a website.
We have a website. We are also, Lynn, into community service,
Okay.
and pretty heavily. And that is our parish priest, and he is a much better speaker than I. And his messages on Sunday really had deep meaning to my family and myself. And so what we did is, through COCA, spending a lot of time and effort, we actually go down and film the sermon each Sunday.
So the good news is this internet, inspirational, devotional message.
That's correct.
Interfaith, apparently.
Interfaith.
And every week it's on.
Every week.
And this, again, is another website.
This is another website. This is my oldest son, Brett, who, again, is starting his own company called Promazo. But again, this whole company and the idea started from community service.
Oh,
He worked for Kids Corps, which is a small charity in San Diego, and they involve young children and adults, probably 7 to 15, and they group them and they do community service for the San Diego area.
It's got to be in your genes. Now, what do we have here?
We have my office.
Yes, but the office was located while you were undergoing cancer treatment.
That's correct.
So while you were being treated for cancer, you set up an office at one of the places around here.
That's correct. And I'm smiling. The cancer treatment was not painful. In fact, this is really a blessing. It's an amazing process.
So you ended up being in the Loma Linda area for 8, 9, 10 weeks.
Correct.
And the whole time you were also working?
That's correct.
I mean, are you working 1 day a week, or?
6 days a week, basically.
You were working 6 days a week?
I had the opportunity to be one of the early recipients, and I had like a 5 o'clock appointment, 5 o'clock in the morning.
5 in the morning?
5 in the morning, I could get up, get in, do my, as you know, it takes 15 minutes.
Undergoing the treatment at the Proton Treatment
At the Proton Center. And afterwards, I'm up, ready for East Coast. They're 3 hours ahead. And also we have projects in Europe, so they're also ahead, so I can go each time zone.
But you were a cancer patient. I thought that you were undergoing cancer treatment for the cure of cancer, and you're working, and you were smiling during the time you were here.
I'm still smiling.
And you're still smiling. That's right. So tell us about your journey here to Loma Linda.
Well, Loma Linda is a special place, and maybe it's for special people, I don't know.
It is for special people, and you're one of those people.
And
I often tell people that, you know, there are hundreds of thousands of people that are diagnosed with cancer. Only a few come here, and we believe that no one comes here by accident. So you were meant to be here.
I appreciate that, and I think that's true. A family friend, a relatively close family friend, was treated at Loma Linda, and he's a good friend of my son, and when they heard, they said, really, you have to look at Loma Linda for prostate cancer treatment. I went on the internet, looked, and had the opportunity to call Mr. Lynn Martell.
Oh, yeah, I did get a phone call.
And he said, you know, we'll send you a book, we'll send you the information, you can talk to anybody. And that's the most amazing thing about Loma Linda, is that they have patient after patient, and they have a kind of a fraternity of prior cancer.
You must be talking about the Bob.
The Bob.
The Brotherhood of the Balloon.
That's
yes.
correct.
All right.
Cancer conquerors, as I say, not just survivors, but real livers. And there are hundreds, maybe even thousands of people that you can call up and talk to, and they will give you their description of what happened, side effects which are minimal, and it's an amazing process. And I think that, you know, interestingly enough, when we have a very close friend of ours, a young lady that had breast cancer, and I've told her about the treatment here, and in addition, the potluck dinners on Tuesday, the meetings on Wednesday, the dinners on Thursday. It's just a really a fraternity. And
you're leaving out the exercise part.
No, I'm going to get to the exercise part.
Okay.
I just wanted to emphasize here that she said that was the most remarkable thing that she had heard, because she went through cancer by herself.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that has to make a tremendous impact on healing, on attitude, on everything. And she was really, it was a remarkable statement. She was just, excuse the term, blown away.
Yeah.
By the fact that
there was such a support.
There was such a support group. And as you know, I mean, I'm in the pharmaceutical business, and we develop drugs, but healing, there's a mental part to it, there's a physical part to it, there's an emotional part to it, and all of these things come together for positive outcomes. And I think that Loma Linda's been able to capture all of those outcomes.
Well, we're glad that it had that kind of an impact upon you. So, in addition to your working and your treatment in the morning, what else was going on in your life while you were here?
Well, I was working out on a regular basis. And let me tell you, Loma Linda, when you arrive, they do it as a suggestion in terms of drinking water, working out, etc. And every once in a while, I would get a little tired, but I'd put on my workout clothes, go over, work out, and it's amazing, the endorphins, your own endorphins just really kick in, and you're ready to go again. And so each of these comments that the staff makes are really clinical outcomes of how to have the best outcome. So physically active, mentally active, it's a full life. And, you know, God bless Loma Linda.
Now, did you get acquainted with some of the other people here and develop any relationships? And we've got a wide variety of people from really around the world.
Absolutely. And I think one of the interesting things is that while Loma Linda is a Christian institution, it really takes every type of patient. And an interesting thing, as you know, graduation occurs, and when graduation occurs, there's a meeting, everyone comes together, and all of the graduate students have an opportunity to share their thoughts with the group. And we had a very interesting group. We had an atheist who got up and spoke and said that I won't do justice, but I think he was trying to imply that he was familiar with
He acknowledged that he was an atheist.
Yes, he was familiar with Christianity, but that this institution...
Well, one of his disappointments, I thought, he expressed as he looked around, because he did have a Christian background, that they weren't always living up to what his understanding of New Testament Christianity was.
That's correct. But he said that Loma Linda was the prototype for how Christian life ought to be and how Christians ought to conduct themselves. And it was really a tremendously, I think, thoughtful, and while I may not agree with him, I think really revealing part. And I think that it's really a tribute to Loma Linda that you have an acknowledged atheist having the wow syndrome, that, wow, this...
You don't often think of an atheist giving a testimony,
Yes.
but that's really what it was. And many times I will tell people like this, you may not believe in God, but I can tell you God knows all about you and He believes in you. And you may not know why you're here, but we know why you're here. And I was so pleased to hear the testimony that this atheist gave about the impact that Loma Linda was making upon him. But we had a wide variety of people that night.
We had a wide variety of people. There was also a gentleman who was openly gay, and he, again, gave his testimony in terms of Loma Linda. And again, another remarkable statement of how Loma Linda opened their arms to him and how he felt comfortable here. And obviously, the vast majority of people, in fact, I would say 99.9%, I don't know,
You're close.
Are not gay here.
Right.
It's primarily, I think, family-based, couple-based treatment center. And here was a gentleman who was certainly not of that persuasion, and he felt totally comfortable here.
And being able to share and secure in the fact that he was among friends.
Absolutely. I think he was amazed.
Yeah, he was. I mean, that was part of the testimony.
That he was accepted.
He came with some kind of trepidation, but as he came into the group and just really wanted to compliment the staff and all the other patients for their acceptance of him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have a wide variety. Well, Al, now that you're looking past and back on your cancer, what kind of a difference is this making on you and on your family?
Well, then,
how is it going to make a difference?
I think I can give a little story here.
Okay.
And there's something my dad told me some time ago, that without belief, nothing can happen.
That's right.
But belief doesn't guarantee that it's going to happen. I think that I have a tremendous belief in my religion, in my faith, and I think that positive things are going to happen. I think that in terms of another story, there is an old story, I think an Indian story about a young boy, and we'll call him Subhash, and his family owned a farm on a mesa. And every day the well water was down in the valley, and he'd have to carry the water up to this mesa and distribute it among the crops. And they were relatively poor, and there was an old dirt road, and his pots were cracked. And so each day that he would go up the hillside, there'd be water spilling out of the pot. And the villagers would say, Subhash, why are you doing this? You're wasting water. And he didn't speak, he didn't say anything. And then finally, as the summer started to move forward, this beautiful flower trail came up, and they were all amazed at what happened. And I think that to me is my cancer, that the opportunity for this crackpot, because we all have physical failings, we all have spiritual failings, that this crackpot now can go forth and flower and can create opportunities for other people.
That's a very powerful story and a powerful application to your own life. What about Coca and the rest of the family? What kind of a difference has this made to them?
I think that initially everyone was a little concerned, afraid. It's
diagnosed with cancer.
Diagnosed with cancer, and it's, gee, what do I do? What's going to happen? And I think that
poor Dad.
I think that they all got involved in the process, thinking about it, and sat down. And we did, as a family, talk about choices. And obviously, they ultimately left it up to me. But I think that they feel comfortable. I think that they see Coca and myself. My wife, unfortunately, isn't here with me at the moment, but she's been with me through the 9-week period. she's seen what's happened. She's been involved in the potlucks and the meetings and had met wonderful people here. So I think that, you know, when she goes home and she's able to talk to the boys, it's a very comfortable feeling. And so they feel more comfortable and more positive about what's going on.
And I know that God has played an important part in your life during this whole period of time.
Absolutely. I think that he looks out after me. I think that in my company, we've had difficult times, times when this company was almost failing. And lo and behold, something happens of which I could not imagine. A company will come in and say, you know, gee, we want to work on that project with you. I mean, out of the blue. So there obviously is a being there that's directing my life. And hopefully I can make a greater contribution to life. And I must compliment you, Lynn. I think that this gentleman has never asked for anything. He only gives. And I think that that is the biggest impression that I will leave Loma Linda with, is the fact that never asked for anything, and just giving.
Well, thank you, Al. You know, you didn't come here by mistake. We're so glad that you were able to be here and that you've been on a journey, and you'll continue this journey. And I know that your influence as you come into contact with people really around the world is going to have a lasting impact. For those of you in the audience that are watching, it's been a joy to once again interview a person that's been impacted by Loma Linda University Medical Center. I am Lynn Martell with Journey of Hope and Loma Linda Medical Center. We're looking forward to having you with us this next week. God bless each of you.